In the fierce landscape of modern warfare, the Ukrainian Leopard 1A5 tanks have undergone a remarkable transformation. Once considered relics from the Cold War, these armored vehicles have evolved into something extraordinary. No longer just tanks, they now serve as sniper platforms, drone hunters, and even experimental anti-aircraft systems. Their versatility has shocked military analysts, proving to be effective in ways never anticipated. Initially, the Leopard 1A5 was not meant for the battlefield in Ukraine. Germany's approval to export these tanks was more about clearing storage than sending reinforcements. Retired since the early 2000s, they were overshadowed by the advanced Leopard 2 series. Yet, when the first batch arrived, they quickly defied expectations. Out of 103 units in service by August 2025, only 21 had been damaged or lost. This astonishing survival rate of approximately 87% was superior to many modern Western tanks in similar conditions. But how did these tanks achieve such success? The answer lies in the ingenuity of Ukrainian engineers who retrofitted the Leopards for a war they were never designed to fight. With armor only 70 mm thick at the front, they faced significant vulnerabilities against contemporary weaponry. Rather than attempting to enhance the armor's thickness, which would compromise mobility, Ukrainian specialists focused on making these tanks resistant to the new threats of warfare, particularly drones. To achieve this, advanced armor packages were locally integrated, like Contact 1 and NIS explosive reactive armor. These systems, initially meant for different tanks, were carefully adapted to the Leopard 1A5's design. Contact 1, known for its explosive-filled boxes that detonate upon impact, can reduce penetration from anti-tank rockets drastically. Meanwhile, the NIS features a multi-layered design that reacts to incoming threats, enhancing survivability against kinetic penetrators. As they faced a barrage of drone strikes, these modifications proved invaluable. One Leopard 1A5 showcased its resilience by surviving 11 drone hits, including multiple strikes to its most vulnerable areas. This was not just a triumph of armor but a tactical revolution. The Leopard's role shifted dramatically. It evolved into a mobile sniper, capable of precise strikes from a distance. With a well-trained crew, it could fire 10 rounds a minute, outpacing its Russian counterparts. Yet, how sustainable is this approach? As the battle rages on, the Leopards must navigate a treacherous landscape where artillery dominates. The challenge remains: can these retrofitted tanks continue to adapt and survive in a world where explosive ordnance reigns supreme? The tension builds as the battlefield evolves, and the fate of these remarkable machines hangs in the balance. Will Ukraine's ingenuity prevail, or are they merely delaying the inevitable? The answers lie ahead, shrouded in the fog of war. In a world where the past meets the present, the Leopard 1A5 tanks of Ukraine have undergone an incredible transformation. These machines, once regarded as outdated relics from the Cold War, have evolved into formidable sniper platforms and innovative anti-aircraft systems. It's astonishing to see how they've adapted and thrived on the battleground, outsmarting their modern counterparts. But how did these 60-year-old tanks become so effective in modern warfare? These tanks were not meant for the chaos of Ukraine's frontline. Initially exported by Germany in 2023, the Leopard 1A5 was simply clearing out old stock, having been retired in Europe for over 2 decades. What was once a forgotten model saw a revival as Ukrainian engineers undertook the monumental task of retrofitting them for contemporary combat. This initiative represented a daring departure from traditional warfare, reshaping the rules of engagement entirely. The Leopard 1A5 boasts a relatively lightweight structure, weighing just around 40 tons. Unlike its more robust siblings, the Leopard 2, this tank possesses a striking agility over terrain. Its thin armor has posed challenges against modern artillery, with only 70 mm of protection at the front. Yet, rather than attempting to enhance its armor offensively, Ukraine's engineers implemented ingenious solutions to counter drone threats, an increasing menace of the battlefield. Consider the NIS, a sophisticated, multi-layered armor system that redefines protection. When triggered, it unleashes a chain reaction of explosive charges that effectively neutralize incoming threats. Alternatively, a series of cope cages equipped with mesh netting forms a protective cocoon over the tanks, trapping and neutralizing drone strikes before they can cause significant damage. One Ukrainian Leopard 1A5, for instance, survived an astounding 11 drone hits, showcasing the extraordinary resilience of this revamped technology. But the true magic of these tanks lies not just in their rugged exteriors but in their tactical ingenuity. No longer straddling the battlefield as mere tanks, they have emerged as mobile sniper units. The Leopard 1A5 operates efficiently, allowing crews to launch precise attacks at ranges of approximately 2.5 to 3 miles while maintaining remarkable return fire capabilities. With skilled operators capable of firing 10 rounds per minute, these tanks are more than vehicles, they are agile weapon platforms changing the dynamics of warfare. As Europe watches, can these innovative creations maintain their edge in a rapidly evolving conflict? Will the innovative spirit of Ukrainian engineers continue to push the boundaries of what's possible? The stage is set for a battle that will redefine military tactics for generations to come. Previously, we saw how Ukrainian forces reshaped the Leopard 1A5 from a Cold War relic into a deadly, precision weapon, the mobile sniper tank. Its crews learned to strike fast, firing with intense accuracy before vanishing into the shadows. But how does a tank, armed with a gun designed over half a century ago, hold its own against modern firepower? And what makes it so deadly despite its thin armor? Imagine this, the cold metal of the turret beneath your hands, the faint hum of the engine, and a sharp crack as the 105mm Royal Ordnance L7A3 roars to life. This gun might seem outdated next to today's 120mm behemoths, but modern technology has breathed new life into it. Laser rangefinders pinpoint targets with blinding precision. Thermal imaging reveals hidden enemies through smoke and darkness. Combined, they turn this old cannon into a sniper's tool, capable of striking enemies from 2.5 to 3 miles away, well beyond the usual tank's reach. But why risk staying in the open? With armor barely 70mm thick, the Leopard 1A5 wouldn't last long under the relentless hail of artillery that Russia fires, surpassing even NATO's combined shell production, according to Mark Rutte, NATO's Secretary General. Staying put too long invites destruction. So, the tank's crews adopt a hit-and-run dance. They fire their limited turret ammo rapidly, then slip away to reload in safer zones. This clever tactic minimizes danger, because every shell stored inside the turret is a ticking bomb. One direct hit could turn the tank into a fiery trap from within. This vulnerability hasn't gone unnoticed by Ukraine's enemies. Drone operators learned to exploit it, aiming to detonate ammunition inside tanks like the autoloader-equipped T-72s. Yet, Ukrainian crews counter this with smart load management, keeping most ammo inside the crew compartment, away from enemy fire. Powering this agile beast is the MTU MB838 CAM500 engine, delivering a roaring 830 horsepower. For a tank weighing about 40 tons, that means nearly 20 horsepower per ton, a nimbleness rarely seen in armored vehicles. This power lets the Leopard 1A5 surge from concealed spots, unleash a rapid volley, and vanish before Russian counter-battery fire can zero in. The sound of the engine fades, replaced by silence and the distant echo of artillery. In close combat, this agility becomes a lifeline, allowing crews to dodge ambushes and reclaim ground swiftly. Could this blend of old-school firepower, modern tech, and lightning speed redefine armored warfare? Or is the Leopard 1A5's success just a fleeting spark before the inevitable? The answer lies buried in the next chapter of innovation on Ukraine's battlefields. Previously, we saw how Ukraine's Leopard 1A5 tanks, once considered Cold War relics, have been reinvented into agile, precise machines that outlast many modern foes. Their light armor demands hit-and-run tactics, while innovative reactive armor and anti-drone defenses have turned them into unexpected survivors on the battlefield. Now, let's dive deeper into what powers these remarkable vehicles and how another country is rewriting the Leopard story in a completely different way. Imagine a tank that can burst from hiding with a roar, its 830 horsepower engine propelling it forward at nearly 20 horsepower per ton. This power-to-weight ratio isn't just a number, it's the difference between life and death. It allows the crew to strike with deadly precision, then vanish before enemy artillery can zero in. The engine's growl resonates through muddy fields and broken forest lines, a sound both terrifying and thrilling. In tight urban fights near Pokrovsk, Leopard 1A5 crews have even blasted enemy infantry at point-blank range, turning close-quarters chaos into swift, controlled bursts of firepower. But Ukraine isn't the only nation reshaping this legendary tank. Belgium is taking a radically different path. Instead of bolstering armor or firepower, Belgian engineers are stripping down weight and boosting accuracy. Their secret? The Cockerill 3105, an unmanned turret that transforms the Leopard 1A5 into a lean, high-tech hunter. This turret pairs a NATO-standard 105mm cannon with advanced sensors and an autoloader, all packed inside lightweight aluminum. The result? The tank sheds about 5 tons, 1/8 of its weight, easing stress on its aging chassis and enhancing mobility. Imagine a silent sentinel, its sleek turret scanning the horizon with unblinking electronic eyes, ready to unleash laser-guided Phalaric 105 missiles with deadly pinpoint precision. This shift also changes the crew's role. With the autoloader handling ammunition, the tank slashes its crew from 4 to 3, echoing Soviet-era designs but with a futuristic twist. The Cockerel turret isn't just about firepower, it's packed with smart systems like gunfire detection and smoke canister dispensers, boosting survivability and battlefield awareness. The tank becomes a ghost, blending speed, stealth, and surgical strikes. But can this slimmed-down, tech-packed Leopard withstand the brutal realities of modern combat? Or does shedding weight risk turning it into a fragile target? The battlefield waits with bated breath. What happens when raw power meets cutting-edge innovation, and who will emerge victorious? The answer lies just beyond the horizon. Imagine a tank repurposed from a relic of the Cold War into something formidable, shaping the battlefield in ways no one anticipated. The Leopard 1A5, initially brushed aside as outdated hardware, is undergoing a remarkable transformation in Ukraine. It is evolving beyond its original role, taking on new capabilities as a high-tech sniper platform, a drone hunter, and even an experimental anti-aircraft system. These adaptations have made it an unexpectedly lethal force against its foes. But how did this transformation occur? When Germany authorized the export of 178 Leopard 1A5 tanks in early 2023, it was meant to clear out aging inventory. These tanks had been sidelined since the early 2000s, overshadowed by the more advanced Leopard 2 series. However, this decision would go beyond mere logistics. Within months of their arrival, reports were surfacing that these tanks were outperforming expectations against Russian forces, boasting a survival rate of 87%. Yes, you heard that right, better than many of their modern counterparts. So, what's the secret behind this success? Ukrainian engineers didn't just dust off the tanks, they completely reimagined them. Rather than trying to supplement the Leopard 1A5's lackluster armor, which maxed out at 70 mm, they installed advanced, reactive armor systems like Contact 1 and NIS. These modifications turned the tank into something more akin to a mobile fortress. Picture explosive-filled modules strategically placed across its vulnerable surfaces, minimizing the threat of penetrating fire and providing an edge against modern munitions. But that's not all. Imagine a tank that employs hit-and-run tactics, leveraging its agility across rugged terrain. The Leopard 1A5 is no longer just a target, it's now a precision weapon system, holding its ground as a mobile sniper tank. With a crew capable of firing 10 rounds a minute, this retooled beast can strike with deadly accuracy before retreating to safety, minimizing risks amid artillery rains, a true dance of survival. What's more, the tanks are outfitted with innovative defenses against drones, employing ingenious strategies like deployable cope cages to thwart incoming threats. These protective measures have proven themselves in the field, allowing tanks to endure multiple drone strikes, a telling sign of their resilience. And now there's talk of transforming the Leopard chassis into dedicated anti-aircraft platforms. Could this bold step redefine modern warfare yet again? The prospect raises eyebrows. Are the old tanks adapting seamlessly to contemporary challenges, or are they mere placeholders waiting for the inevitable end? Stay tuned, this story is far from over, and the evolution of armored warfare may just surprise us all. The European Resilience Initiative Center has made a striking observation: the Leopard 2 tanks, crafted by a generation of German manufacturers untouched by the realities of war, are often deemed overly complex. In sharp contrast, the Leopard 1 tanks have found unexpected success, primarily due to their numbers on the battlefield. With about 100 Leopard 1 units in service, they are now the most prevalent Western-made tanks in the ongoing conflict. When combined with donations from NATO, Ukraine operates around 80 Leopard 2 tanks of various models, a number that pales in comparison to the Leopard 1's robust presence. Consider this: when a few tanks require repairs or need to be moved far from the front lines, a significant portion of their armored support is suddenly rendered inactive. The American Abrams tanks, on the other hand, have encountered even greater challenges. Ukraine has already lost 27 out of the 31 Abrams tanks delivered by the US due to maintenance nightmares, lack of drone protection, and the complexity of retrofitting them compared to their German counterparts. These statistics highlight why the Leopard 1 appears to be the front-runner in the West's tank donations. Countries like Germany, Poland, and Italy have drawn from their stockpiles of outdated tanks, allowing them to send more units without hesitation, effectively writing them off from active duty. The success of Ukraine's modifications to the Leopard 1A5 has exposed critical flaws in modern tank design philosophy. Today's main battle tanks focus on maximizing individual capabilities with thicker armor, larger guns, and advanced electronics. Yet this strategy falters against swarms of inexpensive drones attacking from above. This has ushered in a new era of warfare where tanks are often relegated to hidden positions, serving as artillery support rather than leading the charge against enemy forces. In such a context, lighter, simpler, and easier to maintain vehicles like the Leopard 1 have proven their worth. While its cannon may be smaller, it has the firepower to disable other armored vehicles with a direct hit, especially when enhanced with modern surveillance and fire control technologies that do not rely solely on the tank's physical attributes. But what does this mean for the future of armored warfare? As the battlefield evolves, will the reliance on heavy, complex machines shift towards more adaptable and resilient designs? The answers lie in the ongoing conflict where unexpected strategies can redefine the rules of engagement. In the previous section, we saw how the Leopard 1's smaller cannon, combined with advanced targeting systems, still manages to disable enemy vehicles with devastating precision. Now, let's uncover the hidden challenges behind Ukraine's daring Leopard 1A5 upgrades and how these seemingly small warriors struggle under a heavy burden. The armor enhancements bolted onto these Leopard tanks come at a steep price. Adding explosive reactive armor has sapped some of the tank's original agility, a quality that once set it apart on muddy, tangled battlefields. After all, the Leopard 1 was crafted for nimbleness more than brute strength. These modifications demand endless upkeep under harsh frontline conditions, and that maintenance can become a nightmare, especially amid the rubble and chaos of urban warfare. Picture crews hastily working to patch up fragile armor amid the smell of burning metal and the distant echo of gunfire. Every second counts. Yet, these upgrades represent a critical problem. They're one-off adjustments slapped onto a machine designed in the 1960s. Unlike modern tanks built to evolve through successive upgrades, the Leopard 1's decades-old frame simply cannot bear infinite additions. The chassis creaks under the strain, the engine groans as if gasping for breath. Attempts in Belgium and Rheinmetall to stretch the tank's lifespan have produced hybrids that barely resemble the original Leopard 1 anymore. Are these still Leopards, or something else entirely? This strange evolution of Ukraine's Leopard tanks isn't a quirk, it's a necessity born from desperate circumstances. Traditional tank combat doctrines, formed in a bygone era, are now shattered by the relentless rise of drones and precision strikes from above. Ukrainian engineers have no choice but to think outside the box. They've fused old steel with new tactics, creating hybrid beasts that barely resemble the classic image of a battle tank. These aren't just relics patched up, they're reborn warriors, tailor-made for the brutal realities of modern warfare. But here's the burning question. Are these Frankenstein Leopards the glimpse of armored combat's future, or simply a clever but temporary fix for an extraordinary war? As Western powers cautiously watch and support this grand experiment, the answer remains cloaked in uncertainty. What we do know is undeniable: these tanks embody the resilience of a nation fighting against all odds, surviving a brutal conflict far longer than anyone predicted. Could it be that Ukraine's wild Leopard reinvention is the secret weapon that defies logic, rewriting the rules of armored warfare, one modified tank at a time? The story is far from over. The battlefield will decide their fate, and the world will be watching. In a surprising turn of events, the Leopard 1A5 tanks that arrived in Ukraine were unlike anything seen before. Initially regarded as outdated relics from the Cold War, these machines underwent radical transformations that redefined their role on the battlefield. What if I told you that these tanks evolved into sophisticated sniper platforms and drone hunters? When Germany gave the green light to send over 100 of these tanks, it wasn't just about clearing out old stock. Their retrofitting and modernization turned them into formidable opponents against Russian forces. In fact, within just a few months of deployment, these tanks were achieving remarkable feats, outperforming modern Western vehicles while maintaining an impressive survival rate of approximately 87%. How did they achieve this? The key lay in the innovative measures taken by Ukrainian engineers. Instead of letting these tanks languish in obscurity, they reimagined them for the challenges of modern warfare. The original Leopard 1A5 had a significant vulnerability: its armor, just 70 mm thick, couldn't withstand the powerful munitions fired by Soviet T-64 tanks. This limitation would have spelled disaster had these tanks simply been placed in the line of fire without adaptation. Ukrainian specialists set to work, integrating advanced armor packages that could withstand the threats posed by drones and artillery. They crafted solutions that transformed these tanks into agile, mobile platforms capable of navigating the treacherous terrain of Ukraine, where conventional roads became perilous due to enemy surveillance and explosive threats. As they ventured into battle, the Leopard 1A5S emerged not as traditional main battle tanks, but as precision instruments of warfare. With the ability to fire rapidly and retreat before enemy artillery could strike back, these tanks became a new breed of armored vehicle. The strategy was simple yet effective: strike hard, then vanish. The tactical innovation didn't stop there. The crews learned to operate with limited ammunition aboard, minimizing risk and maximizing their chances of survival. With each successful mission, the Leopard 1A5S solidified their place as unexpected champions on the battlefield. But what awaited these tanks in the unpredictable landscape of war? As their success grew, so did the stakes. Would they continue to outsmart their adversaries, or would the relentless pressures of warfare catch up with them? The answers lie just beyond the horizon, waiting to be revealed in the next chapter of their extraordinary journey. When the conflict escalated in Ukraine, one might think that cutting-edge tanks would reign supreme. But an unexpected transformation occurred. Ukraine's Leopard 1A5 tanks, once thought to be antiquated relics of the Cold War, evolved into formidable battlefield assets. Imagine these tanks, not merely armored behemoths but adaptable platforms, primed for a new reality of warfare, complete with sniper capabilities, drone interception, and even improvised anti-aircraft setups. This narrative uncovers how these retrofitted vehicles are rewriting the script of modern combat. Flashback to the early days after Ukraine received the Leopard 1A5S. Just a rusting memory from their storied past, these tanks were soon stripped of their outdated perceptions. Once dismissed by many, they embraced a role far beyond their intended purpose. Clever engineering and fierce determination transformed them into precision strike platforms capable of surprising the enemy from distances never imagined for such machines. A pivotal modification arose when Ukrainian engineers integrated the EMES-18 fire control system, originally designed for the advanced Leopard 2. This upgrade granted the Leopards enhanced night vision, enabling them to hunt under the cover of darkness. Their survival hinged not solely on armor but on the tactical advantage of striking first. It's intriguing that a machine lacking formidable defense against modern artillery could thrive by seizing the initiative. With powerful sight capabilities, they became the eyes and ears on the battlefield, a massive shift in tactical identity. Maintaining these tanks was an art itself. Unlike their more sophisticated cousins, the Leopard 2s, which became logistical nightmares, the Leopard 1A5S allowed for straightforward repairs. Ukrainian crews found comfort in their simplicity, able to wield basic tools to mend battle-worn units close to the front lines. In a war where mobility often trumps heavy artillery, this feature became invaluable. Imagine rushing to fix a tank while under fire, knowing you could quicken its return to the fray. What's astonishing is that these retrofitted tanks began to outperform expectations almost immediately. Reports indicated that, despite their apparent vulnerabilities, the Leopard 1A5S maintained a survival rate of around 87%, significantly higher than many modern tanks in similar conditions. Just think, over 100 of these tanks, once deemed obsolete, were now thriving in a brutal conflict, showcasing an outstanding combination of agility and resilience. But the real story lies not just in their engineering but in how they were used. Ukrainian commanders recast their role as mobile sniper units rather than frontline brutes. Picture this: a Leopard 1A5 lying in wait, heart pounding as it readies its shot, an unseen predator with an uncanny ability to hit targets from miles away. The fact that a tank designed in the 1960s could adapt to the modern tactical landscape speaks volumes about the ingenuity at play. Certainly, the odds were stacked against them. Conventional wisdom would predict disaster for such an under-armored vehicle. Yet, these tanks, equipped not with traditional defense but with clever countermeasures against drones and artillery, carved their niche. Envision anti-drone nets unfolding over their turrets like protective wings, defeating explosions before they could strike home. In the face of overwhelming odds, the success of the Leopard 1A5 serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience not only of machinery but of human creativity. As the battlefield evolved, so did the strategies surrounding it, with every fired round telling a tale of defiance, reinvention, and hope. The story of these tanks unfurls like a bold chapter in the manual of warfare, inviting us to ponder what happens when the underdog embraces innovation in the face of adversity. Previously, we explored how Ukraine transformed aging Leopard 1A5 tanks into agile, precision sniper platforms. These machines, once dismissed as outdated relics, now survive better than many modern armored vehicles. But what if the Leopard 1's evolution took an even stranger turn, becoming a defender not just against tanks, but against the ever-present threat of enemy drones in the skies? Imagine a battlefield where tiny, buzzing drones swarm relentlessly. Where traditional air defenses, built to stop missiles, struggle against cheap, disposable drones flooding the airspace. Ukraine's answer? A radical reinvention of the Leopard 1 chassis, not as a tank, but as a mobile anti-aircraft fortress. Germany's Rheinmetall unveiled the Skyranger 35, an unmanned turret armed with a rapid-firing 35mm autocannon. Picture this weapon unleashing a hailstorm of 252 rounds, able to strike aerial targets up to 2.5 miles away with deadly precision. This isn't just firepower, it's a shield designed to cut through swarms of hostile drones that hover like angry hornets over the battlefield. The Skyranger's design echoes a Cold War classic, the Leopard self-propelled anti-aircraft gun, itself based on the Leopard 1 chassis. But this new system is sharper, faster, and built for today's chaos. Mobility is key. The Leopard 1 base means this air defense platform can keep pace with advancing forces, weaving through muddy fields and shattered streets with ease. Unlike massive, expensive missile systems that are overkill against cheap drones, this setup is efficient and relentless. What makes the Skyranger even more versatile is its ability to carry other weapons: two twin launchers for Stinger or Mistral missiles, both already familiar to Ukrainian forces. This means the system can tackle threats from different angles, from fast jets to slow-moving drones, with weapons already stocked on the front lines. Yet, almost a year after its public debut, signs of the Skyranger's deployment in Ukraine remain elusive. Is it still undergoing trials in Germany, waiting for a green light to be sent to the front? Or is this the next secret weapon quietly reshaping the battlefield? All these modifications, turning tanks into sniper platforms, drone hunters, and now airborne sentinels, share a common thread. It's not just about slapping on new tech. It's about rethinking what a tank can be in modern warfare. Ukraine's Frankenstein Leopards might just be the future of armored combat, flexible, adaptive, and deadly in ways no one predicted. But if this is just the beginning, what other transformations could these 60-year-old machines undergo? Could the Leopard 1 chassis become the backbone of a new kind of hybrid warfare, blending ground assault with air defense in a seamless dance of survival? The battlefield is changing fast. And so are the machines that fight on it. What surprises lurk in the shadows of this armored revolution? The answer might be closer than you think. Imagine a world where outdated relics of a bygone era become the unexpected harbingers of modern warfare. Is it possible for a tank once deemed obsolete to take on cutting-edge roles in contemporary combat? This is precisely what Ukraine has achieved with the Leopard 1A5 tanks, transforming them from Cold War veterans into versatile machines. These aren't just tanks anymore, they have evolved into sniper platforms, adept at hunting drones, and even dabbling in experimental anti-aircraft technology. How did a fleet of aging tanks redefine their destiny on the battlefield? Initially, these Leopard tanks were not intended for the conflict in Ukraine. When Germany authorized the release of 178 units in early 2023, it was merely clearing out its storage facilities. The Leopard 1 had long since been retired from frontline duty, replaced by the more advanced Leopard 2s. The tanks found themselves stuck in a bureaucratic quagmire, with ownership split between two German manufacturers, Rheinmetall and FFG, amidst Switzerland's hesitance to allow arms transfer. Yet, despite these hurdles, Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands committed to sending at least 100 of these machines to Ukraine. When the first batch arrived a year and a half later, modified to ensure operational reliability after years of dormancy, they exceeded all expectations. Ukrainian forces harnessed these Frankentanks, which outperformed modern Western vehicles while sustaining lower losses than anticipated. With a survival rate hovering around 87%, these tanks are redefining statistics on durability in war. So, what turned these relics into modern marvels? Ukrainian engineers didn't just aim to patch up the Leopard 1A5, they reimagined its function. Instead of continuing to use them as standard battle tanks, they evolved into precision instruments of war. Functioning as armored snipers, they can now strike targets beyond the traditional limitations of armored vehicles. This transformation happened through ingenuity and prior knowledge of battlefield dynamics, applying Western innovations to create a customized combat solution. Though originally designed with weaknesses, like thin armor, the Ukrainian military turned these liabilities into strengths. Engineers installed advanced protective measures, integrating explosive reactive armor to boost defense against new threats like modern drones and advanced munitions. In doing so, they created specialized armor systems capable of absorbing the energy from incoming attacks, allowing these tanks to operate in an environment where modern warfare often renders traditional armored units obsolete. Moreover, their operational tactics shifted significantly. Instead of engaging in head-to-head confrontations, these upgraded Leopard tanks became mobile snipers, capable of pinpoint accuracy while firing at a rapid rate before fleeing the scene. This hit-and-run tactic, coupled with advanced targeting systems, made engagements with Russian forces more effective and lethal. The Leopard 1A5s have proven that ingenuity can breathe new life into old machines. They are no longer just remnants of a past war, they are adaptable, formidable foes on the modern battlefield. Each tank tells a story of innovation, resilience, and a relentless pursuit to thrive amidst chaos. The transformation illustrates the profound potential of reimagining technology rather than simply discarding the old. What else could be lurking in the shadows of battlefield innovation? How many of yesterday's technologies await a renaissance in today's conflicts? Only time will tell as the landscape of warfare continues to evolve, challenging conventional thinking and redefining victory. In a gripping twist of fate, the Leopard 1A5 tanks, once deemed relics of the Cold War, have undergone a remarkable transformation in Ukraine. These tanks, a mere shadow of their successors, were initially expected to flounder in modern combat. Yet, as the tanks took to the battlefield, their unexpected prowess astonished both allies and adversaries alike. After extensive delays, the first shipment of these lions roared onto the battlefield in September 2024, just as anticipation began to wane. At first glance, they seemed like a retrograde force, yet reports soon revealed their astonishing ability to thrive against advanced Russian weaponry. Out of 103 tanks, a mere 21 had suffered damage or destruction by August 2025. This delivered an impressive survival rate of approximately 87%. How could these seemingly outdated machines manage to outperform many modern counterparts? The answer lies in ingenuity. Ukrainian engineers meticulously retrofitted the tanks, adapting them to a war they were never meant to fight. The Leopard 1A5's armor, while only 70 mm thick at its front, was too thin for the powerful Russian artillery they faced. Yet the Ukrainians turned this disadvantage into a tactical advantage. They developed armor packages capable of thwarting explosive threats. One tank even endured 11 drone strikes but continued to battle on, showcasing resilience that baffled experts. But that was just the beginning of their evolution. Instead of being limited to their original battlefield roles, these tanks became precision sniper platforms, equipped to fire accurately from significant distances. With the ability to shoot rapidly, they hunted down targets while evading counterfire, a strategic gamble that paid off. Instead of waiting to be buried in rubble, they advanced and retreated with agility, relying on their lightweight advantage to maneuver through treacherous terrains. The Leopard 1A5s aren't just tanks anymore. They represent a profound reimagining of armored warfare. Can a dinosaur truly transform into a lethal predator? Ukraine's battlefield initiatives challenge the very essence of what a tank is meant to be. As the war rages on, these Frankentanks continue to confound both sides, leaving everyone to wonder, what other surprises can an old warrior still bring to the fight? Have the rules of combat truly changed? Can relics of the past still thrive in the chaotic realm of modern warfare? The Leopard 1 tank, once deemed obsolete, has undergone a stunning transformation in Ukraine. Instead of becoming mere remnants of history, these tanks are now equipped to confront contemporary threats head-on, operating not just as armored vehicles but as dynamic retinues in armored combat. In a daring twist to traditional warfare, Ukrainian engineers have reinvented the Leopard 1, molding it into a high-tech sniper platform, and combating aerial drone attacks in unprecedented ways. The remarkable journey of Ukraine's Leopard 1A5 tanks begins with the realization that, though these vehicles originated decades ago, they could be repurposed into highly effective tools of modern warfare. Originally, the Leopard 1A5 was destined to gather dust in storage, overshadowed by the more adept Leopard 2 series. But as Ukraine faced mounting pressure from Russian forces, a bold decision was made. Approved by Germany in early 2023, a significant shipment of these tanks arrived, primed for a reimagined battlefield role. Surprisingly, rather than becoming easy targets, these tanks have exceeded all expectations, boasting a remarkable survival rate. Imagine the battleground, the air thick with the smell of smoke, the rattling sound of artillery echoing through the fields, and the panicked buzz of drones sweeping overhead. Out of the 103 tanks deployed by August 2025, only a fraction, 21, were significantly damaged or lost, yielding an astonishing survival rate of 87%. This success didn't just happen, it was meticulously crafted by Ukrainian engineers who recognized the vehicle's underlying vulnerabilities while strategically enhancing their capabilities. While others might have focused solely on increasing armor, Ukrainian innovation has taken a different path. They turned the limited armor of the Leopard into drone-resistant fortifications, integrating cutting-edge protective systems like Contact 1 and NIS explosive reactive armor. These enhancements shielded tanks against modern threats, as evidenced when one Leopard 1A5 endured 11 drone strikes without being completely incapacitated. However, the real ingenuity doesn't stop at defense. Instead of employing the Leopard 1 in traditional combat roles, Ukrainian forces have transformed it into a precision weapon. The 508th Separate Repair and Restoration Battalion has dubbed it a mobile sniper tank, capable of firing 10 rounds per minute, ambushing targets in its effective range of 2.5 to 3 miles before swiftly retreating to safety. But, just as the momentum seemed to shift in Ukraine's favor, a new chapter unfolds. Recognizing the growing threat from aerial attacks, the Leopard's design has evolved further. With an eye on the future, plans emerged to adapt the Leopard chassis into dedicated anti-aircraft platforms, introducing systems like the Skyranger 35. This cutting-edge system boasts a 35mm autocannon, designed for agility amidst the chaos. Imagine a tank not only traversing the battlefield but actively defending against the swarm of enemy drones. The Leopard 1, having been transformed into a guardian of the skies, would keep pace with advancing troops, proving that even decades-old designs can adapt to emerging threats. As the whispers of these revolutionary modifications reverberate through the military community, the question remains, will these Franken tanks be the game-changers that redefine armored warfare? Or will they remain a tantalizing glimpse into the endless possibilities of tactical reinvention in the heat of battle? The future holds the answer, but one thing is clear: innovation thrives in conditions where creativity meets necessity. The battlefield is evolving, and the Leopard 1's new role is just beginning. What comes next? Only time will tell. What if the war machines once written off as ancient relics suddenly turned the tide of modern combat? Imagine tanks designed during the Cold War, dismissed as outdated junk, now proving deadlier and more resilient than many of today's high-tech giants. How did Ukraine transform these forgotten Leopard 1A5 tanks into unpredictable legends on the battlefield? When Germany handed over 178 of these tanks in early 2023, it wasn't a generous gift, it was a clearing out of long-forgotten stockpiles. The Leopard 1 series had been retired across Europe, overtaken by the more powerful Leopard 2 models. These machines were relics, barely suitable for the chaos of modern war. Ownership squabbles between German manufacturers Rheinmetall and FFG, plus Switzerland's initial hesitation to send arms, delayed their journey. Yet, despite all this, Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands committed to sending at least 100 tanks to Ukraine. Almost 20 months later, the refurbished beasts finally rolled onto the battlefield in September 2024. They wore a renewed face after careful overhauls to bring decades of dust and disrepair into working order. But what happened next shocked military analysts and battlefield observers alike. These Frankenstein tanks quickly outperformed expectations. While most anticipated heavy losses, only 21 out of 103 active tanks were destroyed, abandoned, or disabled by August 2025, a survival rate near 87%. This was far better than many modern Western vehicles facing the same brutal conditions. So, what magic turned these aging tanks into war winners? Ukraine didn't just patch them up, they reinvented them completely. Architects of warmanship turned what was seen as a liability into a new kind of weapon. The Leopard 1A5 wasn't rebuilt as just another tank, it became a precision sniper on tracks. Designed to strike with deadly accuracy far beyond normal battlefield reach, these armored killers redefined what a tank could be. The key flaw of the original Leopard 1A5 was its thin armor, barely 70mm in front. That might block up to 20mm shells, but it was no match against the 125mm cannons carried by Russian tanks, or against newer anti-tank explosives. Add to that the constant threat from drones dropping explosives and loitering munitions like the Zala Lancet. In this brutal environment, slow and heavily armored vehicles became easy targets. But the Leopard 1A5 weighs only around 40 tons, much lighter than the 60-ton Leopard 2s, making it faster and more agile. In the muddy, uneven terrain of Ukraine, having nimble tanks that could avoid roads riddled with enemy surveillance became a survival necessity. Ukrainian engineers abandoned the idea of simply thickening armor. Instead, they built a tank engineered to defeat drone strikes and hit-and-run artillery. They integrated advanced explosive reactive armor, old Soviet designs like Contact 1 and the newer NIS system, strategically placed to protect vulnerable spots. It wasn't about making the tanks invincible, it was about tricking and stopping incoming attacks before they could do fatal damage. Contact 1 uses explosive blocks that detonate on impact, diverting energy to prevent penetration. Though invented decades ago, its effectiveness remained relevant against weapons reused by both sides in this conflict. Meanwhile, the NIS armor's multi-layered charges create chain reactions of explosions that literally slice apart incoming munitions. This layered defense gives protection from multiple angles, a must when enemy attacks come unpredictably. But armor is only one side of the story. Most surprising was the introduction of specialized anti-drone defenses. Ukrainian crews added deployable steel grills that fold like convertible hoods, designed to trap drones before they can detonate on the hull. These meshes absorb the blast before it reaches vital components. Reports confirmed at least one Leopard 1A5 tank survived over 10 drone strikes before finally being disabled. Beyond steel and explosives, Ukrainian tacticians rewrote the tank's role. Rather than dragging these tanks into slow, drawn-out battles they weren't built for, crews transformed them into deadly sniper units. This was no ordinary tank fight. Leopard 1A5 crews learned to slip in quietly, pinpoint targets, and unleash rapid barrages from ranges up to 3 miles. With the 105mm Royal Ordnance L7A3 gun once considered underpowered, the tank pairs old firepower with cutting-edge laser rangefinders and thermal sights to strike precisely and then disappear. This hit-and-run style fits the tank's armor limitations. Its thin shell can't press against prolonged artillery duels, where Russian forces produce artillery shells at a staggering pace. So crews limit ammunition in the turret to minimize risk, keeping extra rounds locked safely inside the hull where they're protected. After firing their salvo, these tanks retreat to reload and prepare for the next raid. The Leopard 1A5's dramatic rebirth is a story of ingenuity, how a seemingly obsolete platform became a versatile, resilient tool of war, rewriting the rules of armored combat. These aren't relics stacked up for show. They are living proof that with creativity and courage, old machines can be reborn as weapons of the future. What other obsolete weapons could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for their moment to redefine battlefields? When the dust settles, perhaps history's forgotten technologies will rise again, surprising us all and challenging the way wars are fought. Which forgotten giants might emerge next, and how will future conflicts be transformed by breathing new life into the old? The battlefield waits, silent and watchful.